say it makes the world go round. Others say it's the root of all evil. But whatever your opinion of money is, we need it, and if we don't have it, it can lead to stress and anxiety. So today on the UK's only TV programme dedicated to your mental health and well-being, we're talking money and mental health. Giving us a psychological lowdown is Dr. Audrey Tang. We also have our real-life story, Deborah Sawyyer, telling us about how money problems led to serious issues in her relationship, and tells us about her work helping to educate children and adults about money management. We also have on makeup artist Sanni Sorma giving us some low-budget makeup advice to glam us up for less, and nutritionist Severine Menem shows us how we can make a cheap picnic treat that's good for your tummy and your wallet. Helena Chard fills us in on the latest in feel-good news. Declutter expert Sally Walford gives us some inexpensive organisational solutions. And at the end of the show, I give you some simple tips on how to be more money savvy. Now, research from the Royal College of Psychiatrists found that half of adults with debts have a mental health problem, and that 1 in 4 people with a mental health problem are also in debt. Another survey conducted by the Money and Mental Health Policy Institute stated that of the 500 people surveyed, 93% spend more when they are unwell, and 72% said that their mental health problems have made their financial situation worse. And that's not just as a result of having less money to spend. So what are your opinions about money? Well, we took to Twitter to find out. Tabasco says, we compromise so much of our mental health for success and money. It's the weirdest thing ever. Alicia says, only things I care about is my family, friends, mental health and money. Let's Stop Here says, mental health care should be accessible for all. Therapy and medication can cost a lot of money and not everyone can afford the luxury. Well, now it's time to get the expert opinion of our very own Dr. Audrey Tang. Welcome to the show, Audrey.
Thanks for having me, Chrissy.
So today's all about money and mental health. So how does money affect one's mental health?
Well, there can be some great benefits to it, because if you have money, you've got a sense of freedom, you've got a sense of confidence. Actually, there's research has shown when you know that you've got that cash flow, you can feel a lot more confident with things. It can also teach discipline because you're budgeting, so it can have a lot of positive things. However, as always, there's a flip side to it, and that flip side is that a lot of relationship issues break up over money matters. There's problems sometimes when one partner earns more than the other, when the question of do we have a joint account comes up, and then why doesn't somebody want a joint account, prenups, those sorts of agreements. A lot of people also fear having that conversation anyway, because they think, oh, this could start arguments. I mean, what I would say is if you are fearing that conversation right now at the start of the relationship, it will only get worse if you keep hiding that. So please do have that chat. Also, we've got a lot of stress in the millennial age group at the moment because they're leaving university in lots of debt. House prices are such that they can't get on the property ladder, which means that they often don't have their privacy. They end up living at home for longer, or they feel as if with renting they might be just burning through their money. And so it's not a happy place. And then because everyone's so stressed, the worst thing is people think, well, I know, I'll just get a credit card, treat myself, have this amazing holiday. Getting into debt is not the answer. No. So
you can understand the temptation, though, can't you? Because they want to sort of get away from it all for a while, but you're just coming back to it all.
Yes,
That's
absolutely.
the problem.
So please resist the temptation to do that. And the other thing is, this is without looking at gambling, shopping addiction, all of the other problems that can arise as well.
Okay. I mean, what happens to a person psychologically maybe when they're too focused on money? Maybe they don't have debts or anything, but they're just too money focused.
That can be a problem as well, because you can lose sight of the actual goal. So if you want to make money, I need to make lots of money, and you've made your money and you haven't actually stopped to think about how you're going to spend it, how you're going to use it, that can cause problems too. You've also got the situation where somebody who maybe has made a lot of money through being very frugal, once they've made that whatever amount they were aiming for, they don't really know how to spend and don't know how to enjoy it. So that can be a problem. You also get people who maybe prioritise money and making money over family, over people, over enjoyment and other things that would bring a smile to your face too.
And even sort of some people would say that, oh, I'm doing it for my family, I'm doing it for my kids, but there's a danger there, isn't there?
I mean, it was a very long time ago. There was a piece of research from IKEA actually, from of all places, and they looked at children and letters to Santa, and what the child asked for was this toy, that toy, all of the monetary things. But then they said, can you write a letter to your parents? And the child then said, well, you know, I don't want this, I don't want that, I want time with you, I want to see you. And then they were asked, well, which letter do you want to send? They want to send the one to the parents.
Oh, you see.
And so don't get too money focused, because you will lose sight of what really matters.
Okay. So how can someone then develop a healthy mind and attitude towards money then, what do you think?
Well, research from positive psychology is quite nice. What they say is they've recognised a pattern. People who are relatively comfortable with money, or maybe have had a windfall, they tend to spend about 12% on good causes. They tend to invest about 25%, and they tend to spend about 40% on life experiences. Everything else, then there's no real pattern. But I think that's quite a nice way of looking at things. So you know you're actually building a nest egg. You know that you're also spending money on enjoying yourself and doing something, but also the contribution to a charity or a worthy cause makes you feel good too. So that's something that you can do. There's other little tips for people, especially if you like spending a lot of money. Try and spend cash only, because it's so easy just to bring out your credit card and then it doesn't feel like you're spending anything. It's the sort of thing that casinos sometimes work on. Don't shop, if you can, don't shop when you're away from home, because you tend to spend more money. Research again has shown that people who buy things for friends and family who are, say, away somewhere and they're buying them in that place, they actually spend more than if they bought them back at home. Have a list. If you can't trust yourself, go out with a list and come back with only the things on your list. And above all, communicate. Don't get into debt and then hide it, because especially if you're married, that debt does become the spouses as well.
Brilliant. Okay, Audrey, thank you so much.
Pleasure.
And we shall see you again next time.
Yes.
Thank you. Well, everyone, now it's time to go to our real life story, Deborah Sawyyer, telling us about how money issues led to serious problems in her relationship and what she now does to help others.
So thank you so much for having me tonight. I appreciate it so much. My name is Deborah Sawyyer, and I have an interesting job. I am a money literacy educator. I teach kids about money and women as well. So that's what I do in a nutshell. Money literacy is basically the art and craft of learning the ins and outs of money. So it's really almost like learning English, you know, learning something new. So it's not mathematics, it's more of a social subject, more of a behavioral subject, a mindset subject, and a bit of maths in there, and some English, obviously. Well, I devoted myself to money literacy because I had quite a lot of personal issues with money, good and bad things. Also a lot of professional experience in other people being the majority of people I came across in my work that I did had really bad money habits. I also come from a background where we don't really talk about money. Money is kind of a taboo subject. That's just for parents to deal with. And I also suffered some abuse in my relationship, mainly resulting from money problems. So that's why I devote my life to it. I know they don't teach us about money at school. They don't teach our kids about money, so yeah. So the classic that I would come across in the many years that I worked a 9-to-5 job would be, for instance, families who depended on the state, so would get benefits, but would often be the ones that had the most fanciest stuff, the fanciest clothes, shoes, you know, cars, and they forget to pay their priority bills like their rent. It's like you need a home over your head, you don't need all this stuff. You know, so those are the main bad money habits that I would come across, and they would almost lose their home, even if they don't pay, so yeah. It's sad, really. There's a massive connection. There's a big connection between money challenges, money problems, and suffering a mental illness. I mean, for anyone really, if you have money worries that keeps you up all night, you owe money, you have debts, you're not making enough to feed your family, sooner or later it will play on your mind. And there's quite a lot of evidence and statistics out there that people who have found themselves having suicidal thoughts or even committing suicide, when you look deep down, there has been money issues, you know, where they just don't know, they haven't got a way out. They can't find a way out of this situation. And so they develop these mental issues that, you know, they have to deal with on top of having the money situation as well. When I was in the height of my own domestic situation with my ex-husband, there was like a ricochet effect. So the argument started over money, and then all of a sudden I found myself feeling unwell physically, not even mentally, just physically feeling unwell. I suddenly woke up one morning and I couldn't walk with my own two legs. I had developed rheumatoid arthritis, which is an autoimmune illness. Now, I'm no medical professional, so I don't know if it's related, but I know myself really well, and I have a feeling that it was. And so from that, I then found myself being off work for a very long period of time, which I'd never done in my entire working life. Sitting at home and just staring and moping and, you know, doing nothing, just feeling dreadful, just feeling down. And although I never went to my GP to see my GP about it, I knew something was wrong up there. I knew something was wrong with my mind. Obviously the taboo and the stigma attached around mental illness and working as well. Now I know for a fact that there were times where I just felt like, it almost felt like it was dark outside all the time, but it wasn't. It was sunny, you know, and just barely hovering. You know, I have two children, so I had to cook for them. I'll cook, but I wouldn't eat. And instead of eating, I would drink huge amounts of coffee, you know. So yeah, eventually, I guess maybe I self-diagnosed and treated myself, so yeah. You know, I had this rude awakening, you know, sitting there one day thinking, this could just go on. I mean, I know there were times where I even thought to myself, you know what, I'll just take some tablets anyway. I'll just take a bit more tablets for my medication for the arthritis I had. Just take a few more and see what will happen. I never did, but I had a rude awakening where I thought to myself, if I carry on like this, I'm never gonna get better. So slowly, my mind started to shift from, you can't just sit here all the time. You have to get back to work. You love working, Deborah. So, you know, the weight started coming back on. I ate a bit more. I pushed myself a bit more. Went to do a bit of yoga, you know, just ate well, cut back on the coffee, you know, started to get out more, socialize a bit more. And before I knew it, I was kind of back in the swing of things, and, you know, it kind of became a thing of the past. Just carried on, just got better and better, really. So exercise, surround yourself with the right people, yeah. Ooh, I hope big things. I really hope big things. You know what I see? I envisage, you know, people screaming. You know, sometimes I think I'll wake up one morning and have this whole paparazzi outside my house saying, the money doctor, the money doctor. But anyway, I envisage seeing money literacy being taught in schools, colleges, maybe even universities, perhaps on merchandise, apps, games, stuff like that. That's what I envisage, where I see it going.
Thanks so much to Deborah there. Now don't go away, because after the break, Sanni Sorma gives us some great low-budget makeup advice, and Helena Chard fills us in on the latest in feel-good news. But first, is this true or false? The average person in the UK owes £8,000. Find out the answer after this break. Welcome back to the Chrissy B Show, everyone, your program for all things mental health and well-being. So before the break, we asked you if this was true or false. The average person in the UK owes £8,000. The answer is true. According to The Independent, the average person is £8,000 in debt, which does not include debt acquired with mortgages. So that's a large number, but it is possible to tighten the belt. And here to help us get that killer look without that killer price tag is our own beauty expert, Sanni Sorma.
Hi, my name is Sanni Sorma and I am the resident makeup artist here at the Chrissy B Show. And today I want to talk to you about makeup on a budget. Now, when you think of makeup on a budget, you might think that it is about buying the cheapest possible stuff, you know, finding those 90p lipsticks. But actually, it is more about buying less items that do double duty and also kind of buying less things, but potentially a little bit better quality as well. Kind of what we're taught to say, like when, with clothes is like, if you're poor, it's better to buy a few good items than tons and tons of cheap items. So my first tip is, and you can pretty much do this with any concealer, any foundation, sorry. So when you unscrew a foundation bottle, what you're gonna get is a little bit of the foundation when you're using it gets kind of dry around the rim of it. Now, this is actually just the foundation that has lost its moisture. So this makes the most excellent concealer, and the great thing about it is it matches your skin tone perfectly because it is exactly the same tone as your foundation. Now, this happens to be a little bit more of an expensive foundation. This works so well with any foundation, really. Just make sure that it has a cap that you can screw off. Another double duty thing is lipsticks. Now, well, most lipsticks as obviously come in this format, and you would for lipstick, we all know how to do it. We just apply it like this, but very few people actually use this as a blush. Now, I already have a little bit of blush on, so I'm not gonna put it on, but I am gonna show you what I do on my cheeks. So you put on a little bit of the lipstick on your cheek, and then you just blend it with your finger. And obviously you have to blend it out so that it's not too red, but because you are blending it with your finger, you can get a beautiful smooth edge. And the only thing you have to pay attention to is that the lipstick is not too glossy, because that probably wouldn't work on cheeks that well. But a normal kind of satin lipstick will be beautiful. And again, it's a double duty of being able to match your lipstick with your cheek. So that kind of works really well. Keeping with the lipsticks, now I can't show you with this. This is a relatively new one, but what manufacturers do is half of the lipstick is actually inside the bullet. You think you've used it all up, but you haven't. So what I actually do when I run out of lipstick is I hollow it out. I dig out. This is one that I have dug out, and I hope that you can see on camera, but it really is half of the lipstick is actually still in if I don't dig it out. Now, I use a very tiny spatula to do it. You can use a Q-tip, you can use pretty much anything. And then you just put it in a small case and it's ready for you to use. And then why not then use that as a blusher as well. But really, it's a huge waste of product if you buy a nice lipstick that you really like and then you're having to throw half of it away. Now, next one is probably my favorite, and this one works for any type of eyeshadow that is kind of a powder eyeshadow. Now, what I'm gonna do is a technique called foiling. Foiling is basically mixing powder with liquid. So, actually, shall we just do this first? I am going to show you my favorite color from this palette, Garnet. I'm gonna show it to you on my hand, just use dry. And it shows up, but not that much. And especially if you've got cheaper eyeshadows, they don't really have as much pigment as more expensive ones, so you might not see it as much as you'd like. But what you can do is take a brush, dip it in the color so that you essentially make the powder wet. And then when you're using it, you really get great payoff and you make that color, like when you're comparing these two, it's like night and day. And the water, adding water or adding any type of liquid is called foiling. And it is a makeup artist technique, but it's super easy and there's no reason why us normal people couldn't do it as well. And it really will work for cheap, expensive, any type of eyeshadow whatsoever. Another eyeshadow trick is eyeliners. When you're buying liquid eyeliners, they tend to dry up very, very fast, so you don't get as much use as you'd like. What people often don't use in their palettes is the black. So the black color gets less use than anything else you can probably see in my palette. If you use a thin brush, again with water, you take the black, you coat the brush, and you've got an eyeliner. And obviously you can use black, you can use any kind of dark color, but you don't need to buy a separate eyeliner. So this, like, one palette will do a lot of different jobs for you. Now this one is a cheap product, but it is one of my all-time favorites, Vaseline. Vaseline does everything. Vaseline is one of the prettiest highlighters you can get, if I can get the jar open. So Vaseline probably costs less than £1 in Superdrug or wherever. And if you put it on high spots of your skin, let's see me try and do this without a mirror. I'm hoping this will work really well. It kind of creates a highlight. I'm hoping that the camera will pick it up on the high parts of your cheek. And highlighters are dreadfully expensive, and whereas actually Vaseline will do it, and you can do your lips with it, you can do your, elbows, everything else. So Vaseline is an amazing product. And last but not least is storing your cosmetics. So all of your hard-earned cash, whether you'd spend a lot of money on your cosmetics or little, store anything that's cream or liquid in the fridge. It will last a lot longer. Usually cream or liquid lasts for 6 to 8 months. If you store it in the fridge, it will last so much longer. So that is a really important tip. I would probably put them in plastic bags just so that the food smells don't get to them. But those are my makeup tips on a budget. If you have any questions for me about makeup tips on a budget or anything else makeup related, please feel free to email the show and I will try and get back to you as soon as I can. Thanks so much for watching my section, and now back to you, Chrissy.
Thanks very much to Sanni there. Well, now it's time for our weekly dose of positivity with a helping of happy with Helena Chard. Hello, Helena.
Hi, Chrissy.
Lovely to have you back on.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure.
So what's in the news today then?
So I've got different bits of news, sort of different angles. So I'm going to actually begin with my sister. So my sister Carola, who is in Cyprus.
Does she live there?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
She had 2 successful jobs. So she actually worked in Cyprus, but also for the United Nations. Very successful in her field. But she felt it wasn't her calling. And she completely gave it all up. And she's now a nun.
Oh, really?
So it's quite sudden in a way. Well, in fact, she's gone through a year of training as such, because I think you're allowed a get-out clause or something like that.
Okay.
So she lives very happily, I think, in a monastery in the mountains. And she's very happy, she's very content, it's what she wants, but such a difference in her life. I mean, I find it quite shocking myself. But she's happy, and that's the main thing.
Okay. Do you still get to see her though?
Not very often.
Oh, okay.
But I think it's quite courageous as well.
Yeah.
Really, because it's a complete change. Moving on to money and mental health, and this is a story about, it's all about money and mental health, I know, but this is a story about James. and he lived close to the edge, or has lived close to the edge for a year now. And he's basically been sharing his story, and he blogs and sort of, you know, shares things with everybody. It shows how he's coped and what he's planning for the future. So just a little bit about him. So he was diagnosed with depression 16 years ago, but the last year, he says anxiety came to join the party. He was married with 2 amazing kids. He still has an ex-wife as such and 2 kids, but they split up just for the benefit of the children. But as a result of that, it impacted hugely on him financially, and he had to carry the main mortgage, he had to rent a place, carry the bills for himself. Just everything was far too much, and he's on a really good salary as well, but he was completely going over the whole time, completely panicking, even buying a loaf of bread or milk for the children. So the anxiety levels were going up and up. He felt disenfranchised, so completely alienated from society, because he couldn't do very much, even though he was working so hard, didn't want to share it with people. But eventually now, after really going quite downhill, he talks to his friends, he does mindfulness, speaks to financial bodies to try and help him, and his daily mantra is "I will survive." So he's still going through it, but he sees light at the end of the tunnel,
that's good.
which is really, really great. So have we finished now?
Yes, thank you so much.
I was going to do another one, and then I thought you'd say, no, that's enough.
We're out of time. I'm so sorry. We don't have any cake. We've got donuts today.
Lovely.
Yes, thank you so much, and we'll see you again next
Chrissy.
week.
Yes.
Thank you. Well, don't go away, everyone, because after the break, we talk to nutritionist Severine Menem on the best low-budget picnic foods to keep you feeling good, and she also answers your nutritional questions, including this one. Is organic always better than non-organic? Organic food is so expensive, and I just don't think it's worth being healthy over. Find out what she has to say after this break. Welcome back to the Chrissy B Show, everyone. So now it's time for our nutrition segment, and this time we have with us the lovely Severine Menem. Hello, Severine.
Hi, Chrissy.
It's lovely to have you back on the show. So an issue sometimes that people have is that they say that it's too expensive to eat healthily, and they can't afford to eat healthily. They don't have enough money, and so that's why they go for the junk food. What do you have to say about that?
It is the easy way to get food, but beans are actually very cheap, so there is no reason why they can't eat really healthy food on a budget.
Okay, so you've got the example here. We've got some beans here. We're going to be making, what are you going to be making today?
A salad.
Okay.
A 3-bean salad.
Okay, and also good for picnics, for going outdoors.
Very easy to.
If you can't afford to go out for a meal and to make the most of when we get the sunshine in this country, then you can go take this on a picnic with you, and it's very filling as well, isn't it?
In the park, yes.
Okay, so tell us about it then and how we put it together.
So we're going to use 3 types of beans. So red kidney beans, cannellini beans, and mixed beans.
Okay.
As a base. They're really filling because they're really high in proteins and in fibers and complex carbohydrates. So great base. And then we're going to add some fresh vegetables with onions, parsley, and celery.
Okay, cool.
So a bit of all the colors.
Yes.
Red, green, and so on. So
lovely.
First I'll start with the dressing. So what I like to use usually is to use 1 pot of olive oil for 3 parts of more acidic things, such as here it's apple cider vinegar, but I could use also lemon.
Okay, yeah. Vinegar and beans are nice together, I think.
Yes.
They've got that. I don't know, I've tried it with lemon as well, but I don't know, it's just...
I like it.
Yeah.
Okay, it's a preference.
Well, both are nice.
Yeah, both are really nice. Okay. And then salt and pepper.
Okay. That's interesting that you do the dressing first, because I normally just shove it on top.
Yes, but I'm very lazy. I don't like to clean up. So what I do is I like to use the least amount of cooking stuff.
Okay.
So I do it first, mix it. Okay, then I add the different beans. So these are the mixed beans.
And you could also have this as a side dish, couldn't you?
Yes, you can. But for a picnic, it's quite handy. So thank you. Red kidney beans. Actually, it's been drained, so I can just all together at once. Thank you. Cannellini beans. Red onions. So it's big chunks, but if you'd rather to have them finely chopped,
Yeah,
that's your favorite.
These are chunky onions, guys.
Chunky onions.
Shall I mix up? Shall I wait? Shall I start mixing or shall I wait?
Oh, yeah, you could.
Okay.
If you're not happy, that's great. And then I'm going to cut small pieces of celery for the crunchy bits.
Yes, we need some more crunch, don't we? I've seen people actually put sweet corn in this kind of salad as well.
Yes, you can. You can add pretty much everything you want.
Or mint as well. Dried mint, maybe?
Yes. Yeah. It's there is no set rule for this type of salads.
You can basically bung anything in it, but the base is like the beans, which are filling. They're cheap to buy, just to
Yeah, cheap to buy.
You can buy like a whole can of beans for like 30p.
It's very balanced, so
yeah.
I think that's what matters.
And
then the last bit is about flat parsley.
Okay.
It's great for vitamin C.
I love parsley.
Very flavoursome.
I used quite a lot of parsley today, actually. I made a grilled trout, but I marinated it in parsley, onion, garlic, garlic, parsley, lemon juice, salt and pepper. It's very nice.
Yeah.
Sorry if I smell of garlic, because I really did have a lot.
No, the garlic is great.
Nice.
Yeah, it's also really nice to do tabbouleh with parsley.
Yes.
Like they do in the Middle East. It's amazing.
Guys, don't throw the stalks away. Another money-saving tip, because I know they're sort of a bit hard to go in salads, but you can use these in soups and it gives a nice flavour to your soup. Doesn't it, Severine?
Yes.
Yes.
It does.
It really does.
Okay, so we're almost...
So there you go.
there.
Smells lovely.
Yes, it does.
Shall we show our viewers? Can you see, guys, from there? Let me just put the bowl, as I always do. Tip the bowl, and there you go. You have your nice 3-bean salad to have at home as a side dish, as a main, or take on a picnic with you when you can't afford to go out for a meal. Thank you, Severine.
You're welcome.
All right, and I'm just going to put that aside because now we have some questions for you to be answered.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Yes.
And everyone at home, if you have a question for one of our nutritionists, all you need to do is email us on nutrition@chrissybshow.tv. So the first question, Severine, is organic always better than non-organic? Organic foods are so expensive and I just don't think they're worth being healthy over.
I totally agree. Organic food is so expensive. It's usually between 20 and 30% more, but sometimes it's double, twice the price.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, there is a difference in terms of nutrients. They have more vitamins, more minerals, more phytonutrients, and also they have less toxins because they use, for example, less antibiotics, antifungals, antibacterial, and so on. So there is a reason why it's so expensive. And if you don't have the budget, what I would really recommend is all animal products to have them organic because that's where the most toxins are. So milk, dairy, actually it's the same. Milk, eggs or meat.
Okay.
That would be great. Right. Or in the fruits and vegetable, the one you can't peel.
Right, okay then. But I suppose even if the person can't afford, like for example, the vegetables as well, but having vegetables is better than not having, even if they're not organic.
It is always better, definitely.
Yeah, okay, brilliant. And the next question. Are diluted juices the best way to rehydrate yourself compared to normal juice? I know juice is full of sugar, but I was wondering if diluting it makes a difference.
Well, unfortunately, drinking juice doesn't rehydrate. There is only still water that rehydrates. Sugar is a mild diuretic, so you won't really dehydrate yourself. And if you're doing intense exercise, about 60 minutes, and you sweat a lot, a good way to rehydrate is to take half a liter of still water, add the fresh juice of half a lemon, and 1 teaspoon of salt. And it's a natural electrolyte. Yes.
And it's cheap.
Yes,
because it's a lot cheaper
than the bottle that you would
buy.
You
have to buy, and it's full of all the other rubbish that goes in those drinks.
Lots of other rubbish.
So you've got a natural one for the gym. Amazing.
And natural electrolyte, yes.
Yes, brilliant. Okay, and the last question for today. What is the nutritionally best way to cook food? I heard boiling things is the worst way, and I'm curious if there's an ultimate best way.
Unfortunately, every time you eat a food, you're losing vitamin minerals, because that's the way it is. And if you cook it in water, all the water-soluble vitamins are going to be leached into the water. So the best way to preserve all these nutrients is to cook it as low temperature as possible and as little time as possible. Right, okay. My favorite way is to steam them.
Yeah.
And to eat them crunchy.
Okay. All right.
So that you get the best of both worlds.
Okay, that's vegetables, right?
That's vegetable, yes. And most fruits can be eaten raw, and usually when you eat raw, that's fine.
Okay. What about if it's a soup, though? Because even though you're boiling the vegetables, but you're going to actually have the water.
You're drinking the water, so I would say that's fine.
That's fine. Okay,
I mean, there will still be reduced vitamins and minerals, but you still have some. Pretty much, everything that is left.
Brilliant. Severine, that's it for today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chrissy.
And we'll see you again soon. Well, don't forget, everyone, if you'd like more information about Severine, all you need to do is head over to our website, chrissybshow.tv, and scroll down on the homepage, and you can get all her information there. Well, don't go away, because after the break, we talk to Sally Walford on the best low-budget ways to organise our homes, and I'll also be giving you some tips on how to be more money savvy. But first, what is the average time people spend paying off their credit card debts? Is it A, 6 years and 3 months, B, 16 years and 3 months, or C, 26 years and 3 months? Find out the answer after this break. Welcome back to the Chrissy B Show, everyone. So before the break, I asked you, what is the average time people spend paying off their credit card debts? Is it A, 6 years and 3 months, B, 16 years and 3 months, or C, 26 years and 3 months? Well, the answer, according to Money Charity, the amount of time to pay off an average credit card debt with minimum repayments is 26 years and 3 months, with the total credit card debt going to £70 billion, which rounds up to £2,574 of debt per household. So continuing our theme of saving money, here is Sally Walford showing us how to organise our homes on a budget. Hello, Sally. Welcome back to the show.
Hi, Chrissy. Great to be back.
I was telling Sally earlier that I managed to get rid of a whole suitcase full of stuff. It wasn't clothes this time, actually. Well, there was a few clothes, but it was like CDs and exercise stuff. Got rid of everything.
Great, yeah.
So much so that the charity guy even asked me if I had a body in the suitcase.
Oh.
I said, no, I don't. You can have the suitcase as well. Yeah. It was a big suitcase.
Yeah, but I always think if you started with something, then it becomes like a domino effect.
Yes,
so
it
you
does.
end
It
up
really
just
does.
doing more and more as you go on. So that's brilliant.
Love having you on, Sally. So show us what you're going to be doing today. And how we're going to organise.
So I've got a few ideas, particularly if you're on a budget, of how to do some organisation as well as decluttering, because it kind of comes hand in hand.
Yes, yeah, it does.
Really. So I'm sure everybody might have seen one of these. Yes, the over-the-door hangers. But the interesting thing about these is that I actually hang my ironing board on them. So I think a lot of people think that they're just for clothes, for towels, knick-knacks and things like that. But actually they come in really useful, for example, on shed doors. You can hang your rakes and spades and things like that, because they're quite sturdy. So I always
I'm going to do when I'm going to go home, don't you? I'm going to hang my ironing board up.
Hang your ironing board up. Honestly, it's brilliant. Yeah, it's brilliant, because it's always such an awkward thing, I think, to find space for, particularly if you've got limited space.
Yeah,
and they're really cheap.
Yeah.
So to get hold of. And also the variation on those as well is just the one hook.
Yeah.
And these, again, if you think slightly, instead of just about the clothes, you can hang these in your kitchen cupboards. So you can hang your rubber gloves on, tea towels, all kinds of things. So yeah, just...
I'm so excited.
Good. Yeah, even in the bathroom, you can hang your little sort of like the sponge and things like that.
That's true.
So always think about different ways that you can be using, particularly hooks. I love a hook. So yeah, that's
brilliant.
One of my top tips. So these are really on a budget, and I'm sure you've seen these, but I'm going to use them in a different room.
Okay.
So obviously we use these for files and paperwork, etc., etc. But I actually use this in my home for my cookbooks. And also, because they're actually quite sturdy. Again, you think, but particularly the ones made out of cardboard. But you can get quite a few thick books in there.
That's so true. Yeah.
So, there we go. But also, another good thing to use these for is if you take the books out, like that, you can actually stick these with adhesive sticky tape on the inside of a kitchen cupboard again, and you can place your cling film.
Oh, okay.
Because they're always tricky as well, aren't they?
Yeah.
Where are you going to put the cling film and the foil and things like that? So, and just anything lightweight, really.
Okay.
You can pop in there, so dusters, etc. Again, so therefore you're saving on space.
Yeah.
And you're managing to do
And
it
it's
quite
cheap.
cheaply.
Yes, brilliant.
Yeah.
Wow, amazing.
Great. So, that's the other.
Sorry. Mind your head.
So,
you guys don't know what we've got behind here. It must be so exciting for you. You're just like, what's she going to bring out next? Okay.
So yes, here we've got a tin, and I love tins. Although obviously I don't encourage people to have a large amount of tins.
Yeah.
But I always
because
think
it's clutter.
Yeah, because it's clutter. But also, I'm an advocate for upcycling and recycling and utilising what you have instead of purchasing something more. So in all these pretty tins, I mean, you can use for your kitchen utensils, and also, if you've got bright coloured tins and things like that, I mean, you can use for pens, pencils, crayons, paintbrushes, anything really. So I think they're just always handy, but just don't have too many of them.
Okay.
Okay, just pop this down.
Is this the last thing now? So
It is, yeah. Oh. So before I talk about the hamper, I just wanted to talk about small boxes, really. If you're finding that clutter or even the thought of doing any organising is overwhelming, and perhaps you might benefit from just doing a little bit each day or each week even, I think you shouldn't put yourself under too much pressure. And, if you've got a lot of stuff, it's going to take you a long time to get rid of it. So I like a relocation box, which I think is a really good place to start.
Okay.
And all that it means is that you have a box maybe about this size in the room, and anything you can see in the room that doesn't belong in that room, pop into the relocation box, and then at the end of the week, you relocate it. So you're kind of starting an organisation routine.
Yeah.
And then actually through that, you're probably going to start finding that you're duplicating stuff, and then that then starts the decluttering process.
Which we've spoken about.
Yeah.
And you can actually store things in here as well, can't you?
Yeah, what I love about hampers and sort of like similar, wicker things like this is they're great, actually. And if you have a few of them, you can stack them, but also, and you can have them as bedside tables. You can even have them as extra tables in your lounge, or just to pop a book on the top. Even if you just did this, you've got an instant coffee table.
It's true.
So just to pop your lamp on, and also you can keep perhaps, again, if you're running out of space for occasional crockery or things like that you're not utilising all the time, but you still use. You can pop in the storage there.
Brilliant.
So there's
Sally,
a few.
Thank you so much. I'm going to go home and organise my ironing board.
Good.
And get one of those hooks, definitely for the tea towels and the gloves and stuff. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome.
And looking forward to seeing you again very soon.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chrissy.
Well, everyone, don't go away, because now it's time for my tips on how to be more money savvy. Okay, so let's get to my first tip, and actually these are some of the things that I practice myself, so I'm sharing them with you. The first one is to plan your meals. Now, I remember growing up, we used to waste a lot of food. I mean, our fridge literally was packed. Greek family, we can't be without a packed fridge. And I remember like we never used to eat maybe half the stuff that was in there, especially when it came to the vegetables and things. Things would just go off and we'd end up throwing them away. And I got into this bad habit as well of buying too many things, buying too much food, stocking up the cupboards and then wasting things. But then one day a friend came to stay with me, and I remember I'd made some chicken the night before, and I went to throw away, like, you know when you just get like a whole chicken and there's bits of chicken on it and you not really going to use it, it's not enough for a meal, you think. She goes, no, don't throw it away. And I was like, what, it's a chicken carcass? And she said, oh, you can make a really nice soup with this. And when we got talking, she was actually telling me how somewhere that she'd once lived in another country, it was really difficult for her financially, and she literally made the most of every bit of food that she had in the house, so she would make other things with leftovers. And that was really new for me, and because she stayed with me a while, I actually got to kind of learn how to, you know, budget properly for food, how not to waste it, how to make use of leftovers. So that was a really good lesson for me, and you can save so much money. So what I do, even today, even though, you know, I'm not lacking financially in a sense, but I still plan things, so I don't like to waste food. So I will look, before I do my monthly shopping, I will look inside my cupboards, see what I already have in the freezer, and I work out what I need just for the month. And if I have stuff already, I'm not going to buy the same things again, just in case. I just have what I need for the month. So you can also do the same, and also look inside your fridge. I do this regularly. I never throw food away anymore. Unless, you know, very rarely that I will throw something away. But for example, if you have something like cooked potatoes in your fridge and you think, oh, what can I do with this? Put them in an omelette, they're amazing. So just find ways of using what you already have and don't waste anything. The second thing you can do is to use diners cards. Now I have a card that allows me to have, it's basically buy one meal, get one free. So you can imagine that's like half the price of you know, for your meal when you go out, and that's a huge saving. And you know, this card, this particular card that I have, it allows you to, so many of the popular restaurants are on there, you'd be surprised. So you know, it's a no-brainer really. And the card itself costs like £30 for the whole year, which you make up like within two meals that you have, you already make up that saving. So I would definitely recommend, you know, one of these kind of cards. And also, if you can't afford to go out for a meal, a full meal, as in like, you know, your starter, your main and your dessert, which does really add up, especially if you're going to have drinks on top of that. Just skip dessert, for example, or skip the starter, or you can have your meal at home and just go out and have dessert. That's a big saving as well. So just be kind of clever when you go out. The next one is be smart with your clothing. So if you don't have much cash to spare, you're better off buying block colours. So for example, what I'm wearing today, I can use this in many different ways. I can wear it plain as it is. I can wear it like a waistcoat with it. I can put a jacket on. I can put different types of necklaces on. And I can create lots of different looks with one item, which is more difficult to do if, for example, if I have a pattern top on, because it's obvious that I've worn that before. So just be kind of clever. You can create so many different looks with just one item. The next one is have a staycation. I know that's kind of hard for some people. They love to go abroad, but you know, as you know, that does come at a cost. But if you are trying to save money for something, or you're trying to pay off some debts, staycations can actually be really exciting. All you need to do is do some research. Just go online, do some research about maybe exciting places to visit in England and exciting places to visit in the UK, and find out places that you can go that you've never been to before. Sometimes it doesn't have to even be very far. It can just be a different area of London for you that you've never been to, but it can be so exciting because it's all new for you. So consider things like that as well. And the fifth one is buy what you can afford. Now, this one is tricky for some people because I know, you know, you have your credit cards, you have your store cards nowadays. I'll let you in a little secret. I have never owned a credit card. I have never owned a store card. I've just never felt the need for one. What I do, I actually save up for things rather than actually getting myself into debt and paying things off monthly. So that's something that you can consider. I'm not saying, you know, don't have a credit card, don't have a store card. That's up to you, obviously. But obviously the temptation is there if you do have these cards and you do have credit. So try just saving up for things and paying things after you have enough money to do it. Another thing that you can do that I also do sometimes is just have like your own kind of, I would say store, like a bit of savings, so that it can be your own credit kind of thing. So if you run into an emergency, if you need to buy something unexpected, or if you just want to treat yourself, you've got that money there already that you can take from your savings and use that instead, rather than getting yourself into debt. Well, everyone, I hope those few tips have helped you, but if you have your own ideas on how to save money, how to budget, please do let us know as well. You can email us on info@chrissybshow.tv. You can also tweet us @ChrissyBShow, or leave a message on our Facebook page, The Chrissy B Show. Until next time, bye for now.